Felix here. I sit down every Sunday and I take my ex-investment banker knowledge and I pick stocks that I think are tremendously wonderful for the week ahead and for the months ahead. And I found 3 this Sunday that look so good. I don't want to keep them to myself. So I'm going to walk you through those. And they remind me of stocks like Car, for example, Avis, which is up 95% right now in my portfolio, or U, which right now is up about 82% in my portfolio, or STRL, which right now is up about 65% of my portfolio. And I'm not promising you any returns or outcomes. This isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy these, but I'm hoping that by running you through my process and what these stocks are, you'll learn and you'll get better at actually picking these stocks. So what's ticker number 1? It is Intuitive Machines, ticker symbol LUNR, a space technology company that specializes in, guess what? Lunar landers. That's why they're called Lunar. And space infrastructure services and so on. They have major contracts with NASA for lunar deliveries worth about $2.6 billion, communications with NASA for about $4.8 billion, as well as expanding into the national defense sector. They're literally the first private firm to land on the moon in 2024, which positions them nicely for repeat missions like the one they just did in January. And we're looking for about a 70% revenue growth from these guys. They have about $400 million in cash. They have no debt, which is absolutely wonderful because it means they're not going to go bust tomorrow. They are targeting an actual profit this year, which is not to be taken for granted in these kind of companies. But essentially, the NASA partnerships are driving a lot of this, about $5 billion in contract value. And there's some people out there who are saying that this has a 10x possibility. And I don't really go for price targets like that. I don't really care. I'm just buying them and everything looks sweet. And then I get out of them once we have a nice big profit. But there is a pattern here that I look at and that I see and that I learned from my Wall Street mentors, that once you understand that pattern, I believe you're going to find much, much, much better setups. And if you want to learn that pattern, I could run you through it here, but it would make the video 15 minutes longer and it would bore the pants off people who already know it. So what I've done instead, I've put that education into a free 15-minute video, which you can watch at felixfriends.org/get-free. And I call it /get-free because I want you guys to get free too. I want your money to work for you. So if you leave this video right now and go and learn, which will be better than learning these 3 stock picks, just write "I'm leaving" in the comments and I know what you're up to, and I'll be very, very happy that you're doing that. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at essentially the highs from May there and here and where we are right now. And what do you see? Well, you see that we're basically at that level right now. And that's important because we want to exceed the previous highs. The breakout moment essentially happens here, probably a few cents above where we are right now, maybe $12.87, or if you want to be a bit more conservative, $13 or something like that. And you could set up an alert here in Trade Vision as well, which is the software I'm using, which is software that we built to give you guys good data and good tools and so on. And then you get a notification on your app so you know what's happening out there. But yeah, to me, this looks absolutely textbook. So I'm liking it. Ticker symbol 2 is Uranium Royalty Corp, ticker UROY, and they are a uranium-focused royalty company providing essentially exposure to uraniums as a commodity, but they're doing that via royalties and equity and debt and, yes, some physical holdings of about £1 million of uranium. They have partnerships with things like the Forum Energy Metals Aberdeen project, a joint venture with Ignis for assets restarts and so on. But ultimately what this is about is the nuclear renaissance. And what is the nuclear renaissance? It is a decade-long PR campaign to make us think not about pollution anymore or radiation, but only about global warming. And therefore, the only thing we should care about is carbon. It's the only pollutant that matters. So Bill Gates says, and therefore, nuclear power plants are clean. Right? So it's a really, really good whitewash, and whatever you might think of that, let's make some profits with it. So they have a analyst buy rating, and you know what I think about analysts. I think they are cheap on a good day, on a good analyst day, not on a good cheap day. And they have a price target of about $4 to $5. That will be about a 60 to 100% upside from here. And essentially, they're making money on royalties coming in. And then also, as uranium prices keep climbing up, they make money on the inventory and so on. So it's a smart exposure to a uranium bull market without the mining risks, because unsurprisingly, it's a little dangerous to dig uranium out of the ground, right? You come out looking like you glow in the dark, apparently. So if you look at this little pattern here, what have we got? We got the same ziggity-zaggity pattern, and really all I'm looking at is to exceed the previous high at 259, which we've already done. So I'm actually very happy with exactly where this is right now. To me, this looks like a big, beautiful setup. And then if I zoom in a little bit, I'm going to show you something cool, and you might want to take a note of this. That is the volume down here. Can you see those volume bars are picking up down there? Few people look at that, but it means that when the stock's going up and the volume's going up, that every day there are more buyers, more people entering. And that's usually a nice run up to more traders, more hedge fund, more institutional money pouring in. So that's exactly the sweet spot that we want to be looking for. So for me, this looks great. You have to come to your own conclusions as always. So be smart about stuff, position sizing, overall risk management and stops and all that kind of good stuff, which you learn a lot about if you go to felixprehn.org/get-free and get some really good education for free and get yourself free too. The third ticker is MTSI. It stands for MACOM Technology Solutions Holding Inc. It's a semiconductor firm. What do? They design RF, microwave, millimeter waves, photonic products for essentially telecom data centers and also for defense. And while everybody's looking at NVIDIA and AMD and the big boys, good stocks in my opinion, but NVIDIA's a $4 trillion company. So what would it take for that to double? A lot of money, like a lot of money. So it's not going to double by next month. It's just never going to happen. Whereas for some of the smaller plays, you have potentially a higher upside opportunity here. Now, MTSI got about $345 million in government funding under the CHIPS Act, which allows them to expand faster. These guys have revenue and they have profits. They beat expectations by about 33% on growth, which is very, very cool. And we expect them to bring in about $1 billion this year in revenue, mostly telecoms and industrial demand. They also sit on about $500 million in cash. Again, something we like because it means they ain't going bankrupt. So if you look at the stock chart and you may be coming around to seeing these things now, you see this sort of typical zigzaggedy fashion. And we're almost there. So to me, the breakout is always slightly above where the previous high was. All the moving average lines are looking good and so on. So somewhere at 144 in a bit would probably be my entry point there. You obviously have to come to your own conclusions. And hopefully when we see that, we break out of that, hopefully volume will start to pick up as well, which would be helpful because that would mean other people are seeing this too. And institutional money is seeing this, and then beautiful things happen with a stock like this potentially. Now, what happens if we don't go through 144 in a bit? I simply don't buy it. So I set up conditional orders, again, more explained on that one in the free training at felixprehn.org/get-free. If you got some value out of this, share it with a friend or a golden retriever, and I wish you a beautiful week. The eVTOL market is projected to grow at 35% every year till the end of the decade. There are two stocks here. Joby is flying high with direct contracts with the US military and great progress on its civilian eVTOL program. And we've honestly had eVTOL on our buy list